Hello and welcome back to A Better World. This is your host Mitchell J. Rabin, and we're very glad that you're joining us again today. Today we're going to have another very interesting show. We're talking with Dan Klausing, who is the founder of Body Electric. This is a nutritional company that is really in its own realm, its own orbit, you could say. It is involving the use of nutritional products in a way that really no other company has come to. It's a quantum leap beyond anything else that's out there. And Dan is going to walk us through some of what it is he's presenting to the world and some of the effects it's having on people actually worldwide. So Dan, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. How did you first get involved with Body Electric? It's such an amazing story that I think the audience could really benefit from hearing.
We'll start at the beginning. The story is has to do with a health issue my wife had. She had 6 months to live 4.5 years ago, and we were out of options. We went the medical route, that didn't work. We went the alternative route, that didn't work. And we were at this place where she was ready to go because there were no more ways to get well. She had a dysfunctional colon, which means her body was 100% toxic. And that's the result of years and years of inabilities to
colitis,
among other things.
Among other things.
A long
Complications.
List, it doesn't matter what you call it. It's
Sure.
the result of being unable to eliminate the toxins.
Indeed.
So then we got a call from a friend, and we went to a meeting, and a formulator was there talking about the electrical body, the electrical nutrition, and we were pretty enamored with the concept. Didn't believe it would work, didn't really understand how you could put that in a bottle and get any kind of results.
Yes.
But we had nothing to lose. So
It's extraordinary.
It is extraordinary. We bought everything they had. This guy was working on the back of his RV, so he didn't have much. Within 2 or 3 days, I was noticing a profound change in Laura's health and her body, just touching, feeling her neck and so forth. Things were loosening up, and it was pretty evident that something was happening. 5 months later, after a lot of detoxification, I mean major detoxification, because all those toxins stored there for years were starting to come out everywhere.
God.
She made a 180-degree turnaround and became a perfectly healthy person. And we looked at each other and said, now what do we do with that?
You had actually said to me earlier that there were times at which you felt that perhaps she had already died,
Well, there's two
that you had
instances,
taken
yeah,
her pulse and
yeah.
there was no pulse.
She was so toxic that the body shut down to such an extent that we couldn't find life signs. And that's a panicky situation. And you want to blame, something for that, but
Of course.
these products that we're dealing with here are all whole food products. There's nothing in them to trigger anything like this. But what they are is they're energetics, okay? We're talking about delivering high energy to the body, to give it life force, to allow it to access that information and then recreate itself in the form of the body that we see when we look in the mirror. We think that's a physical thing. We can touch it and feel it. It has 5 senses. But the reality is it's an electrical thing. It's an energy thing. And it needs energy. Anytime you put something in the body that's lower in energy than it is, it has to surrender energy to that thing. Most of the food today...
So in other words, it robs us of energy. It doesn't give, but it
right,
takes.
It takes away. So this is why you get the feeling lethargic or tired after a big meal. Because most of the food you're putting in there is dead. Okay? It's cooked, it's dead. No enzymes, no real value, no access to the amino acids, da-da-da-da-da. So the body has to create a structure to digest this stuff. So it has to steal from other components to create digestive enzymes. In the meantime, it shuts you off. And you get very sleepy and you want to go to bed
Yes.
in the middle of the day. So
What you're also suggesting, Dan, is that the body is really composed of electrical circuitry and switches.
there's no question.
And they're
about
either
that, yeah.
on or they're off.
There's 76,000 wires that come down from the brain and go to every part of the body. That's
Indeed.
electrical, and this information is transmitted via these synaptic connections.
Yes.
Which is it's a spark,
That's right.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that the body is probably more electrical than it is physical. But we're even
Or
going,
chemical.
and we're going past that even. We're going into the dynamics of quantum physics, if you will. The higher energy, the higher vibrations support the body's form, keep it intact. So that's the direction we go, and that's what separates Body Electric products from anybody else's out there. Nobody else is going this way. and they're not getting results either.
Uh-huh.
So we're getting results, and we're taking this whole industry to another plateau. And I think 10, 15 years from now, everybody will be doing this because it's working.
Are you suggesting that most of the vitamin and mineral supplement industry is really predicated on the idea of chemistry and adding different kinds of chemicals and nutrients to the body, but it's chemically oriented, distinct from electron or electrically oriented?
Exactly, and we're looking at ingredients. So everybody's trying to outdo the other guy with their better ingredient.
That's right. Bigger or better.
Yeah, or they're patented this or patented that, or extracted or unique approach, and they're all dealing at this ground floor level, which is not where the action is. The action is in the electrical body, and the body's looking for that sort of information. It's looking for energy. It's looking for empowerment. And we keep putting things in that drag power away from it, or energy away from it. So the concept is new, and we don't expect people to grab it and understand it completely in a short, 10-minute interview. But once you begin to logically put the pieces together and realize that the universe we live in really isn't a physical universe as much as it is an energetic universe.
Well, indeed, yeah, it's a very, very important point that you're making. Robert O. Becker, the doctor, the orthopedist, did write a book called The Body Electric.
Yes, indeed.
And that came out many years ago, and it actually began to set a stage for people to begin regarding the body as an electrical system, as a neurological system, essentially, not just a series of chemical
And we even go
reactions.
past that. What he was talking about is the movement of energy through the body, through the various systems that we can measure. But we're taking it even past that. We're talking about life force energy, the light, if you will, that sustains us. And, and the product can hold that energy, and then that becomes then a delivery system. And we have overlaid all of our products with even a new dynamic now, which heightens the effectiveness of that technology. So this thing is just getting bigger and bigger, and there's really nobody coming behind us yet. There will be when it becomes clear that this is a much more efficient way of becoming well. I'm not knocking other nutritional products. I'm just sort of saying that, like the Model T, we're up now to the Ferrari.
The Ferrari, for sure.
And no one else is building them yet.
That's
but
right.
They will be in the near future.
Give us, in our last few minutes, if you would, Dan, an idea of some of the results that you have witnessed. I mean, you're in the catbird seat. You have 56,000 plus distributors around who are taking these products and who are talking to others about it, and they are getting results over and over and over again.
That's how you get 56,000
exactly.
They don't rebuy a product that isn't working.
There's no point.
Right. And the stories we get back are phenomenal. But the time to get well is before you get sick. And the tragedy in our society is that we wait till we get sick before we start scrambling for health.
It seems to be part of human nature.
It is. And the idea here is make this supplementation issue a daily issue. If you're feeding that energy to the body every day, it will never go down. It doesn't, you don't have to worry about it. But if you wait till something happens and then try to react, then you have to go through the process of detoxification. That can be a somewhat painful process, because all those toxins that you accumulated over the year that have finally created this problem have to come out. And they will come out in various ways. And that's unnecessary. You can do all this by maintaining health on a daily basis, taking your supplements every day, getting that energy in there, keeping the immune system functioning, etc.
What you're really saying is create good habits.
Well, include in your good habits, a modicum of intelligent decision-making regarding your most important asset, which is your health. That's right. When that's gone, party's over.
That's right.
That's right. Pack them up, baby, because you can't do much when you're sick.
Exactly. That's the truth. Well, talking about stories that are interesting, I mean, interesting isn't even the word. Your own beloved's life was saved.
That's a powerful testimony.
Exactly. And there's really nothing more that needs to be said after that.
That's why we're sitting here having this conversation.
Exactly. I mean, that took your life and gave it a direction like never before,
No question.
Well, we are all very glad that you have, and I neglected to say, but Will, now we're sitting in the offices of PriceNetUSA.com in Irvine, California, on location, that is, and we're here because Dan and Laura have met with the top people at PriceNet USA, and their products are going to be marketed to mainstream America, which is something that really happened on this level with a product of this kind of quality that can reach people's lives and literally change their lives and their physical well-being. So we're very excited about the possibilities of potential of what lies before us, aren't we?
Yes,
right?
we are.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for being on the show, and we'll certainly pick this up at another time more comprehensively, so we can do you and the products proper justice, because you're doing a fabulous service, and we really appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today.
Absolutely. Pleasure. Hello. Now we are very fortunate to be seated with Don Rackman, who is the CEO of PriceNetUSA.com. It's one of the founders and one of the brains behind this operation. It's a brand new e-commerce company, and they have a large vision of what they can do and actually to help make the world a better and more prosperous place for more people. So we're very glad to have you on the show, Don.
Thank you very much. I'd like to be here.
Good. I'm very glad you're here. Give us an idea, if you would, what is the impetus behind the company? What is its primary premise?
Well, it really reverts back to 1988. I founded a long-distance telephone company. Knew nothing about communicating over the phone lines, and
except for that you knew how to use a phone.
Knew how to use a phone, and put a group together and went out to compete with AT&T, Sprint, and MCI. This was 1988.
That's ambitious.
Well, they were spending millions and millions of dollars on television ads, print advertisement, and radio. But they weren't getting the changeover. And I felt that if we went out in the world of network marketing, people talking to people, that we could compete with them. And we did. We ended up with over 400,000 representatives throughout the nation, and doing $150 million a year in billing, long-distance phone service.
Incredible.
And it worked out very well. I retired in 1994 and kind of as a sideline got into the golf club manufacturing business, things like that. And some friends of mine came to me in 1997 with this shopping cart idea. And my thought process...
Shopping cart on the internet.
On the internet,
in particular.
e-commerce. And I was not a technical guy, could not run a computer. But
you didn't know anything about telephones, and look what happened there.
So I lent them some money and told them everything not to do. They went out and did those things and went through that first bag of money and came back to me, and I lent them some more money. Then I thought to myself, you know what, that
was that a smart business move?
Not too smart. So I said, I better go check on my money. And when I did, I got the insight into the shopping cart, to the e-commerce and things like that. Started spending all day, every day there. Took over as chairman and CEO. And got to the point where at this juncture, between cash and personal guarantees, I've invested $7.2 million in the company.
You better be sitting right there watching what's happening.
Well, as I got more involved, I'm 69 years of age, and to have the opportunity to be in the right place at the right time with the right product is where I'm at.
Sure.
And so I see an incredible future, but it's because we now can let people who have jobs they've been on for years or no job get involved with us, get involved with e-commerce, with the internet, and make a tremendous amount of money. We have a gentleman that joined us in June who was coming off of some very, very hard times, got involved, saw the same vision we saw, and has earned over $300,000 in commission checks from us because of that.
Since June.
Since June. So it's it is the future. It's an opportunity for anyone, any walk of life. It's the first time in network marketing where you've seen 18, 19, 23-year-old people. We had a meeting last Thursday night, which we call our big event, And young man, I believe Ben Yang is 23 years old, and joined our company, and as you saw him on stage,
Yes.
won $10,000 bonus and a new Cadillac to drive at age 23. But
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, just
I saw it with my own eyes, you know?
Yeah.
Well, you're doing an exceptional job in growing this company, and its vision also includes a gentleman who we had on before, Dan Clousing, and the world of nutrition, because you can have all the cars you want, but if you don't have a good, healthy body to drive them and sane mind, you won't be happy.
Well, I had a four-way bypass in 1994.
Yes.
It definitely got my attention. And from that point on, I started eating right. I started taking the right things for my body. I knocked off all the things that were bad for my body, and right now I feel great. So in meeting Dan Clousing, it made so much sense to me when he explained that people were buying things off the shelf, taking herbs, taking vitamins that took energy from their body to assimilate and to work. And
Exactly.
when he explained body electric parts to me,
Yes.
I started taking them, you know. And so
So rather than robbing the body, you are nourishing the body.
It's
I mean,
right.
which is what it's
Enhancement.
enhancement. That's what it's
Right.
supposed to do.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
there's this other thing happening.
Oh,
Exactly.
yes.
And
You know, I think that through PriceNetUSA.com, we had 1,383,000 hits in a few-day period here in November. And so the average person stayed in our site 17 minutes and 56 seconds. So we're going to educate a lot of people
Yes.
on how to get healthy, and a lot of them will poof-ah and say,
That's
oh, that's
right.
not for me, but a lot of them will take heed and
That's right.
experience.
And you, through your experience and your wisdom to see the importance of health and nutrition,
Absolutely.
will be conveying that literally to hundreds
Millions.
of thousands and millions of
Millions of
people.
people.
That, the work of Sandra Michael, that has helped to supercharge the body electrics, and you're looking at the Merlin water as well.
Exactly.
All of this is contributing to a very strong aspect of,
Well,
of PriceNet, I believe, USA.
The thing is that I was pass it along guy. I didn't read about herbs. I didn't read about vitamins, and I was healthy. But when all of a sudden they're getting ready to put a knife and open you up,
Oh my God,
you start
to your
thinking.
heart, no less.
That's right. Then you start reading and understanding. So for us to get this message out to people and push very, very hard, because that's what it takes for some people, is that push. And that's what our intent is. And let them make money at the same time.
Absolutely.
Right.
Let
That's
everyone
right.
prosper. Well, one day you might be carrying our A Better World interviews as well.
Very good.
So,
Very good. Yes.
great. Well, a pleasure to have you on, Don.
Thank you
Keep
very
up the
much.
great work.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Nice being here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And now for the last part of our show, we are seated with Merlin Yakstick, who is basically the inventor of this water, known appropriately as Merlin water. This water has properties that are beyond normal water, and Merlin will be sharing with us some of what's in it and what makes it so special. Merlin's life in particular has been one of wizardry, you could say. It's gone through a number of interesting permutations, which he'll be sharing with us about, and how that has, in a sense, created a life and a purpose that is really destined to help us all. We are also here at PriceNetUSA.com, this company, because Merlin has introduced his water here too, and part of this company's vision is going to be including spreading Merlin water across the internet and hence to the planet. So thanks for being on the show, Merlin.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Pleasure to
It's
be
a
here.
pleasure. Great, great. Good to have you. Now, if you would, just share with the audience, how is it that you originally got involved with this? What's the story behind it?
Okay. Well, I'm not a scientist or a chemist in any stretch of the imagination. My background is really education. I was a teacher, entered the field of publishing and spent 16 years building a publishing house. I sold that company in '89. and went
Now,
into.
you had published a book specifically on education.
We designed educational materials for schools, primarily K through 6, social studies, science, language arts materials that we marketed directly to schools
Yes.
throughout the country. And so I did that for 16 years, which was my passion, and then it got to a point to where I needed another mountain to climb, needed a change in my life, so sold that company in 1989, and then took some time off, quite frankly, looking at what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. Did some business consulting, leadership development, ended up writing a book for leadership development called Values and Visions in the early 90s, and spent about 5 years working with organizations and corporations, helping them create a shared vision and vision based on the values of the employees and the people in the company.
Yes.
And while I was doing that, I realized that most of the executives and many of the people in the companies I was working with were sick. They were toxic. They were losing their energy. They drank too much coffee. They smoked too much. They spent too much time on airplanes. And I came to that point to where I realized that if I really wanted to help leaders lead, I had to figure out a way to help them get their health back. And shortly after I made that conclusion, that light bulb went off in my mind, the idea of water showed up. I actually took a consulting job for a company in Boulder, Colorado, which is where I'm from. And they were a homeopathic company. They made homeopathic products in the field of health and wellness. And homeopathy, as many of the viewers know, I'm sure, is 98% water, 2% high-grade alcohol, which helps change the structure of the water and the surface tension, tinctured with an herb or a mother tincture that has proven to have health benefits. And I was awestruck with the idea of water, that water could heal. Then the next light bulb that went off was the fact that, wait a minute, this is the water planet. We're basically water beings. We're a walking container of water.
80 to 90%.
Exactly. And so that perhaps water was the missing link in our health and wellness. So that launched me down a path that I've been following for the last 5 years, and the basic element of water, figuring out what it is and what it isn't, which
Looking at water chemistry, basically.
exactly, and talking to scientists all around the world. I traveled around the world looking for any piece of information that I could to find out, first of all, how do we get its life and energy back, because water is not what it used to be on this planet, and water's not just water anymore. So,
And water is a whole lot more than we have any idea in its natural state as well.
Absolutely.
It is truly a miracle substance.
It truly is. It's a very complex structure, and it has the ability to carry complex energetic structures.
Indeed.
It's not so much the water that keeps us alive, it's the energy, the food, the nutrition within water that really keeps us alive as human beings and the entire planet.
It's a carrier, it's a messenger, in a sense, a conduit.
Exactly. So what we've been focusing on in the last 5 years is, one, what is the right quality of water to drink? We know we need to drink a right quantity. That's key, and more of us are waking up to that. But there's also the right quality of water, and so that's the science that we have been focusing on and what we're now bringing to the marketplace for the rapidly growing water industry.
Indeed, it is rapidly growing, and it's currently dominated by forces that look at water as gourmet instead of as nutritional, when it really is nutritional. And I feel that you are helping to bring that really into the marketplace, that new idea. Water is a cleanser, but it's also a nutritional element.
Absolutely.
And this thinking is, I don't know where it went. I mean, every other generation seemed to have known it, but somehow or another in the 20th century it kind of went into, pardon the expression, into the vapors,
Yeah. Well, I think previous generations, hundreds of years ago, they valued their water, and of course communities were
and
built.
conserved it.
Conserved it and honored it,
Yes.
if you will. And so I think as we cross over the bridge into the 21st century, we're coming back to that that sensitivity and that awareness of.
Well, we're entering the Aquarian age as well, which is the water barrier.
Yeah,
bearer.
absolutely, yes.
So,
Perhaps
interesting.
it's no accident.
Perhaps, that's right. Now, talking about Noah, could you give us a little bit of an idea, Merlin, about the antioxidant qualities that you have impregnated your water with?
Okay, yeah. That's one of the new contributions that we've been able to make in the last year with the water is not only do we purify the water very uniquely so that we take any source, we're not source dependent, so that we don't have to ship water all over the country. That's kind of another crazy thing that's going on.
Oh,
is that
yes.
we're importing water from around the world. We're nationally bottling it and then sending it out to warehouses and so forth. And so it gets bottled, it sits in shelves, on shelves, in warehouses and that kind of thing.
Stored.
Exactly.
You have a technology that is exportable, so to speak, in itself, so the water can be bottled locally.
Yes.
Okay.
So we take any source of water, remove everything that's in it, all of the minerals, even the minerals that are in water that are inorganic, it's like trying to consume the rocks in your driveway. So we purify the water to a pure H2O through proprietary technology as well as using reverse osmosis. Then we put live minerals back into it. We searched the world for minerals. We found a source that is a freshwater source that is very bioactive, very bioavailable, because the best way to get your minerals is through your water. But they've got to be the right kind of minerals. They've got to be the minerals that your body can break down and literally use. And most people aren't aware of that. I wasn't aware of it myself until I jumped into the science of water.
In other words, you
minerals.
thought that they were all inorganic. Is that it? The
Yeah.
minerals that were typically found in water?
Yeah, they are inorganic. They come from the soil. They come from the rocks that they flow through
Sure.
and pass through. So they do pick those minerals up, but they're really contaminants. I mean, there's something that the body cannot use. The body has to figure out how to get rid of them, or they get caught in our joints, stuck in our liver and kidneys and so forth. And so that was an awakening for me in regards to bottled water. So we found a source that we put back into the water that is bioactive, bioavailable, to give the body the real nutrition that it needs in a great carrier.
Wonderful.
So once we do that, then we add technology to the water, which is how we actually get the antioxidants. There's a technology that I was introduced to about 5 years ago. It's called electrolysis. Electrolysis is an American invention. But the Japanese and the Russian have been working with it for health reasons. And what happens in that process is that it creates free electrons in the water. It literally puts a charge back into the water, into the minerals, and creating an abundance of electrons. And the studies that have gone on here in the United States and Japan and other foreign countries is that this may be the best source for antioxidant properties in the world. We know we get antioxidant properties from vitamins A, C, and E, eating broccoli and carrots and so forth. But the truth is, you've got to eat about a truckload of broccoli a day, to get an adequate amount of antioxidants.
Under current circumstances.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in the water, we have acquired the license from a biotech company here in the United States that has helped us figure out how to stabilize those antioxidant properties when we make them. And so that's one of the benefits of our waters.
That's wonderful. Well, Merlin, I'm sorry to say that we're out of time, but I really want to thank you for being on the show and for the work that you're doing in
My
helping
pleasure.
to create a better world.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care. Thanks for joining us out here in Irvine, California, on location at PriceNetUSA.com. We hope you enjoyed the show and the motives behind it to educate you all about different nutritional products and the new possibilities that are coming onto our planet through these new discoveries in nutrition, water, and the internet. Look forward to seeing you all next week.